It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Hello. Welcome to it. This is ZiFM Sport on a Thursday, Throwback Thursday, powered by DSTV. Still in lockdown, still doing this from my dining room table /office/studio. Anyway, this is a show that's short, sharp, and sweet as we take you closer to your sports stars. My name is Sean Tafrenika. I'm the producer of ZiFM Sport. I hope you are being safe. International cricket is back on our screen after a coronavirus-induced break, and right now, in action, it's England taking on West Indies in the first test of a 3-match series. Fittingly, tonight we'll feature a cricket star who's involved in that test.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Z.
England cricket soared to great heights after winning the ICC Cricket World Cup last year. A player who's had a major hand in the success of England cricket is all-rounder Ben Stokes. In the absence of Joe Root, Ben Stokes is the England captain leading his side against West Indies. Tonight, we'll hear from Ben Stokes as he joined the Sky Sports team of Ian Ward, Rob Key and David Lloyd. He talked about his excitement of England's emerging test team and his daily fitness regime while he was in lockdown before the return of cricket.
I had so many messages coming in about doing the tutorial videos about, staying fit, but I don't have any knowledge about doing anybody except myself. So I thought, right, well, I've had quite a lot of contact from people, so I'll just, whatever I do throughout the day, I'll just put onto my Instagram for people to look at, and if they can do it, great. If they can't, then maybe they'll go off and do their own.
But you've had some nice messages you were saying about people saying I would have normally just sat on the sofa or done something, but you've actually got me off my backside to do some exercise. That must be nice. Yeah,
I think that's what you sort of try and do. I know this is going to be a very tough time for everybody around the world, and it's not just about the physical side of keeping fit. It's being stuck in a house for 24 hours a day is also going to affect you mentally. So exercise, as we know, releases those endorphins that make you feel really good about yourself. So it's not just about keeping physically fit, it's also about making sure everything's as good as it can be mentally. And for me, going out and doing exercise on a regular basis will help towards that, and then hopefully I'm not too much of a pain in the bottom for my wife and kids. So.
I mean, we said the same thing to Joss the other day. This must be the first proper break that you've had for goodness knows how long, isn't it? In a funny sort of way, is it quite nice to have some time off?
Yeah, it is. And the weird thing, when we do have a break, we know how long we've got off, so we can actually plan how long, we might want to put our feet up for and not do anything, and then, we know we've got 3 weeks to get back into the gym, to get back fit, to start, for our first. But at the moment, we don't know when that is. So there's no structure to what we're trying to do. So I said the other day, I'm just planning for that my next cricket is going to be on April 20th.
Yeah.
Because it probably won't happen. I can't see it going ahead. But in the unlikely event it does, you've got to be ready to walk out onto the field on that date. And
well, you've got nothing to lose, have you, by doing that? I mean, you'll either be absolutely ready or you won't, and you'll still be in a good position.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's after doing something for such a long period of time. I've been doing it for 8 years now, pretty much solidly, and you just get used to doing it. So I had a week off once we got back from Sri Lanka doing nothing, and then I sort of felt like I had to get back into doing it. But it's just a really, really bizarre situation to be in, not knowing what to do and when we're going to be back into doing anything.
Nick Doherty was doing something with Rory McIlroy the other day on his Instagram, I think it was, and McIlroy was saying that because he doesn't know when he's going to play next, he doesn't really want to practice because he needs to know when he's going to start.
Yeah,
and once he gets back between it was Jamie Redknapp, wasn't it? Is that the sort of the way you're looking at it a little bit? Is it hard to really commit to everything, not knowing when you're next going to compete?
Well, I think in terms of the skill-based stuff, yeah, like I haven't even thought about having a bat or a ball yet because, you know, I don't want to overdo any of that. And to be honest, I can't really bat. You know, I can't expect my wife to throw me balls and, you know, test me with a few short ones, Claire, can you? So,
from a standing start, though, Stokesy, what do you reckon you'd need? I mean, Jimmy Anderson's been talking about just going through his bowling action in his front room and things like that. It's such an unnatural thing to do, but you condition your body to bowl over a period of time as a professional sportsman, then to restart, how long would that take, do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, you know, our S&Cs and nutritionists at the ECB have, you know, obviously this is the time for them to, you know, not saying they don't work hard all the time, but to really have to look into what everybody needs as an individual for that side of things. So they've been great, you know, they put together individual plans for each of the contracted players to give us the best chance of, you know, staying physically fit for our skill-based stuff. You know, because bowling you just cannot replicate without bowling, at the moment none of us can do that properly. So they've had to implement a few things into our gym routines to try and keep everything, you know, up to 100% as possible.
What about these press-ups? What are you actually trying to do? What's your best time? And also because you've been doing this 2K run as well, as I think your best is just under 7 minutes, but you blew out at 7:23 the other day. What's going on?
Yeah, I know, pretty disappointed. It's a bit cold back here. I hate running in the cold there. No, it's just a thing you can do from home. You know, obviously we're all able to go out and do one form of exercise in the day. You can do the press-ups in your house, and I think just a bit of competition with yourself is good as well. You know, I'm doing it every week where I'm going to put a video of my time on social media every week to see if I can get better and better. So I'm so used to competing against other people that now that's taken away from me, I have to find some kind of competition against myself. So
do you miss the competition? Do you miss competing?
Oh yeah, I mean at the moment I've downloaded this game on my PlayStation. It's golf, and the last couple of nights you know, we've been hooked up and playing rounds against each other on the microphones, and like it's actually the band. Keezer, you know all about banter on the golf course. It actually gets like that when Dank's one on.
He cheats on the golf course. He sniffs the backswing.
Yeah.
Keezy, how would you go with this press-up challenge, do you reckon?
I've tried the press-up challenge. The press-up challenge. So what Ben should explain, I suppose. What is it? What's the song called?
It's called Bring Sally Up.
Bring Sally Up, and there's parts of the song where it tells you basically to go up and then down, and that's when you do the press. All people are doing squats with it, aren't they?
Yeah, you can do loads of different like things to it because it's just a song that you need to, you know, as you say, when it says bring Sally up, come up. When it says down, come down, and then there's a hold bit as well in it. So you can do press ups, squats, sit ups, everything with it.
Humble's been busy on the bike since we've been yakking away. You're all right there, Dave lad. How would you go with the press up challenge?
Well, do you remember when Misbah did it? Misbah did it on the ground, didn't he?
At Lord's?
Yeah, and so I was pretty fit at that time, and I went past him. I did a little 20 in a suit, and he come past me and put his foot on my backside so I couldn't move.
What is that shirt you're wearing, by the way?
Popeye.
How would you look back at the winter then that the Test team has had? Let's start with the Test team. It started off in New Zealand, then on to South Africa. How would you reflect on the results and where the team is at the minute, Stokesy?
Yeah, look, New Zealand was disappointing, and I think it made us realise that maybe we need to come up with different plans at different times on flat, slow wickets like we had in New Zealand. And I think it also made us realise as a batting unit that, you know, potentially we might sometimes have to go away from our natural game and, you know, look to bat once. And when we do bat once, it's for a long time to score a lot of runs. You know, we're about an order of exuberance and want to go out and put pressure back onto bowlers and the opposition, but sometimes you need to almost rein it in to allow yourself to get yourself into position on flat wickets. Like New Zealand did that brilliantly on 2 occasions against us, especially the first Test match, and so I think we got an eye opening to that in terms of slow flat wickets, what we need to get better at. And in South Africa, I thought we were brilliant. I know we lost the first Test match, but considering that each and every
going on around there, wasn't there?
Each and every one of the squad got sick in the build-up throughout that Test match. The questions that were asked of us there, I thought we had managed really well. Unfortunately, we couldn't win. But then from after that, I just thought everyone put their hand up at some point throughout that and allowed us to win the series. And I thought we were pretty dominant from after that first Test match.
I mean, I was there for the Centurion Test when you were all falling downhill. Do you reckon you had the coronavirus then?
Well, we think we did. We're blaming Collie because Collie got sick. Yeah, and he only got better when we just got to Sri Lanka. He was coughing and all sorts. So, I don't think we have, but if we have, great, because apparently you become immune to it, don't you?
Those your glasses?
They're my screen glasses.
Your screen glasses?
Yeah, when you look at the screens for a long period of time, you got to put these on. It's the first time I've seen myself and I might keep them off. No, I'll take them off.
Very fetching. Right, it's changed locations to get a better internet connection. Keezy, you got some questions coming in from people.
Yeah, Luke Thurlow on Twitter asked you prefer batting or bowling.
Well, obviously if it's swinging, it's going to be a lot more enjoyable to bowl. And if it's a flat wicket, you're going to want to bat on it.
I was thinking throughout the winter, at times you come up the order a little bit to number 5, which is understandable. But also at times you weren't bowling as much. But when the game was on the line, when it was at its flattest, at Newlands, places like that, you were the one they turned to. I think it would be disappointing. Well, not disappointing. We'd be worse off if you weren't bowling as much. Do you see a time when you just become more of a batsman, or do you always want to be that all-rounder?
No, I think how me and Joe have sort of, we've spoken about my bowling in terms of how to use me a bit more, sort of have a better plan. And, in South Africa and New Zealand and stuff like that, it was to come on to try and make an impact in the game, not because we've got, when me and Jofra are playing, we've got, 2 bowlers there who can come on and sort of change the way the game is flowing or the way that it's being played. Because we've got an attack where everyone can run up and sort of hang around off stump and look to sit in. But the thing that me and Jofra can do is to come on, set some strange fields, bowl aggressively, bowl around the wicket, and just to change that up. So me and Joe have spoken about using me more in that type of role, which I do enjoy. Obviously there's going to be times when I'm going to have to do something else, but is trying to use my bowling as more of an impact to try and change the game, which obviously I always want to do. So
would that be more away from home though, as opposed to at home with the Duke ball?
Yeah, I think so, because obviously England, the ball swings, the wickets offer a little bit more to bowlers who pitch the ball up and challenge the defence, whereas wickets where you're playing away, I think you're going to probably have to look to change your tactics of bowling every now and again. So I think that's more of a tactic when we're away. And then obviously in England, I know what I'm able to do with the ball if it's, swinging or any type of assistance there at the pitch.
And Jofra's obviously got a huge talent. You've seen him in the IPL. You've obviously played all formats with him now. Do we in the media sometimes forget that he's still very young in international Test cricket terms and have to give him a bit more leeway? Sometimes he's going to bowl 96 mile an hour, others 86, 87, but that's because he's still very young in his Test career.
Yeah, well, I think, to be honest, when you come to international level, you're open to criticism, and I think everyone forgets how young somebody is or how inexperienced somebody is as soon as they don't do well. You know, Jofra came on the back of a brilliant World Cup, came into the Ashes, you know, lit it on fire. And then as soon as it didn't go well for him, people started jumping on his back. But all you've seen is success, all you've seen is him doing well. And throughout somebody's career, there's always going to be highs and lows. And people need to remember that regardless of the fact if you started off your career well, you're going to go through a patch of learning. And sometimes you have to learn as well as dealing with not being successful, which is what Jofra had to do, which I think he managed really well. And it's the same with the new guys that we got coming to the team. You know, Zach Crawley, Ollie Pope, Sam Curran. Especially Sam Curran and Ollie Pope have obviously started off their careers really well, but they're going to go through that stage, and people need to remember that that they're learning on the job, and it's not always going to be them going out getting hundreds, bowling 90 mile an hour, taking fifers or whatever it is. You know, to become a better player, you've got to go through failure and understand that, because it gives you it adds to your experience, and it's inevitable. People are going to fail. We're not robots.
So as a senior player then, as vice captain, that someone's been through as much media scrutiny as any England cricketer probably since Ian Botham, what sort of advice can you give to Jofra or Ollie Pope? I suppose Jofra's the more relevant one because it was such an impact he made straight away, and then the criticism you've mentioned. How can you help him?
I think one of the big things is that always making sure that whoever the individual is who's under that scrutiny knows that everyone in the team has got his back and do not care about what the outside world is saying. In terms of the outside world, I mean outside of our team bubble. And I just sort of go like, if people are saying things like, try and understand that person and think, is that person going to have an effect on your career in a positive way or a negative way? And if it's going to be none, then why are you bothered about what they're saying?
Yeah,
that's something that I try and do. You know, you're always going to come under scrutiny, and at the end of the day, the biggest what I take from is what my teammates think of me, what everybody in the team thinks of me, what my family think of me, and you know, that's the real sort of thing that I try and focus on, is if they're all saying good things about me, then, you know, we're in a good place.
I remember I watched that thing with Redknapp and McIlroy the other day, and he asked him as well, Jamie Redknapp said to McIlroy, did you realise straight away that you belonged at the top level? Did you realise that you belonged in international cricket as soon as you got there, or at what point did you think, do you know what, I can do this?
I think having a bit of success very, early on early on in your career at the highest level helps, because you can always look back and go, oh, wow, I did something early on in my career which allows you to, trust yourself that you can do it at that level. After obviously the 2013 Ashes, where, it went all right for me, and then I went through a really bad patch for about a year and a half. But I could always look back to that tour and go, well, no, I can actually do it. It's just getting that confidence back, because, when you start off well and then you go through a real bad patch, it's really hard because you're battling demons inside of yourself. But, deep down, you know that you're good enough to perform at least once anyway at the highest level. And then it's just getting that confidence back, and it just takes a performance, I think, to settle everybody down and knowing that they can perform at international level.
I'll take you back to something you said earlier about the batting and the tempo that you had to work out in New Zealand and South Africa. You got the two young openers now at the top of the order in Sibley and Crawley. How impressed have you been with the way they settled in and how they implemented what it seems Joe, yourself as vice captain, and Chris Silver would have wanted to in the batting order?
I mean, obviously Dom Sibley's come in and done very, very well, and through an unfortunate mistake, through an unfortunate sort of with Rory Burns, we'll say.
First time.
Zach Crawley got an opportunity as well. And to be fair, if he averaged 30 at Kent, he averaged 64 everywhere else.
Correct.
Why did you say that, Stokes? Seriously, we're never going to hear the end of it from Kim now.
Well, you don't know, it's all the scores since Keezy retired are now lower.
Exactly, thank you.
Very impressed, and I think you can tell early on with people if they're a team player, and Dom Sibley knows his limitations, but he's also been made aware of what we expect, what we want him to do, which is to play his way and just bat long, which he's done on quite a few occasions now already. But he's already looked, like he can be successful and almost take over what Cookie used to do for him, which is just to be boring and just bat people into the ground. That's how he played in Cape Town, which allowed us to win that game. And Zach Crawley, you just see him bat, you see him train, and you just like, this kid's got just so much talent. He's just got everything. He doesn't seem to be fazed by much. I mean, he had Rabada running up to him and bowling 90 mile an hour, and he just staring at that. 21 years of age, but the future looks really good with our test team. And the great thing is that all the new people are young.
So just to be clear on the tempo and all of that, Trevor Bayliss, the former coach, gets a little bit of criticism for almost perhaps asking the players to go out and be gung-ho. Was that the message he was giving to the players, or was it just to be positive in every aspect of your batting?
Yeah.
Has that changed?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, Trev can't really explain too much into things what he says. But yeah, his message to us was always, go out and be positive. But a more intellectual man probably would have gone into what he meant a bit more.
What do you think he meant then?
Well, we knew what he meant, but obviously the media didn't quite get it properly. And bless, when he called it a day, the media all got him a whiskey, like a pit flask, and just put sort of about be positive on it, because they eventually got what he meant, which was be positive in your defence, be positive in your attack.
Yeah.
It was his mindset, wasn't it? He was speaking, if you have a positive mindset, then you move so much better in everything, really.
Yeah.
I think he probably regretted saying that at the start, didn't he? Because then it just became this thing throughout the whole time, which was very unfair, actually, would you think? Yeah,
well, I think, he always just says, be positive. Being positive isn't about going out and hitting 4s and 6s. That's what he used to say all the time. And to be fair, I think in the first Test match was Cardiff, and everyone went out and just tried to bang it. And I think when he played well, he was like, "Oh, I can't really tell to stop now." Then he came back getting bowled out for 100. He was like, "Right, lads, come into the office. We're gonna have to change this."
Did he ever buy a drink, TB?
Only when Brad Haddon was around. That's the only time I've seen him at the bar was with Brad Haddon.
Did he ever buy you a drink?
He probably got one out of the Heskey at the changing room and said he bought it for me.
How's Chris Silverwood settled in then? It was a very challenging start for him out in New Zealand, and then he had some personal issues, and then he had all the illness around the Centurion Test match, and in the end he's had quite some winter. How's he settled in and made the step up from bowling coach to main coach?
Really well. I think he's benefited from being in the group for a period of time before getting the head coach, as he said, being our bowling coach beforehand. But he's very, I would say he's taken a lot of what Trevor has done with us over the last 4 years, and then just and also added some of his views on coaching as well. And he's a real, he's a player's coach. He's all about feel. How's everyone feeling? Make sure that's at the top of the list before anything else, I would say. It's just making sure that everyone's in the right headspace. And I feel like he constantly wants to learn. He's always asking questions of the senior players and also of the younger guys. And I've really enjoyed... Oh, goodness, what's happened here?
Are you still on?
Message.
Am I?
You're still on.
But yeah, he's started off really well, and I think what he's learned from coaching Essex, obviously very successfully, he's managed to bring into the England group, and as you say, he started off pretty well as England coach.
How much of what you're talking about as a test side is sort of looking ahead to trying to win in Australia in the Ashes? And is that dangerous to look too far ahead?
No, definitely not. We built up for the World Cup, and that took us 4 years. That was a 4-year plan.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about Australia overseas already since Spoons took the job. So that's a really big time for us as a team, and we have already started planning into what the best team is going to look like.
Well, final one, Ben, because we're going to let you go, and thank you very much for your time. I mean, a frustrating period. Any thoughts on IPL going ahead, or when you might play again, or you just got to keep doing what you're doing and wait and hope?
Yeah, just got to keep doing what we're doing. It's almost week by week now with updates around the world about what's going on, but I'm basically training and planning like it's going to go ahead in the very in these uncertain circumstances where we are at the moment. I've just got to sort of look at the schedule and go, when will I potentially be playing cricket next, and then have a plan for that.
Ben Stokes is certainly one of the key pieces in the resurgence of England cricket. Let's see how he does in this first test as England take on West Indies. It's day 2 today, and I'm sure by Monday we'll have a result. And if you're wondering where to watch that first test between England and West Indies, it's at the Aegis Bowl in Southampton. It's on DSTV channel 222. That's SuperSport 2.